dedicated aircraft that carries the president from destination to destination. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt became the first president to fly by plane in 1943. In the coming decades, huge advances were made in the aircraft's security, speed, and comfort. Though the current superjet would be totally unrecognizable to 20th century presidents, this proud tradition has been in place for more than 80 years. FDR first tested the idea of a presidential plane on a diplomatic trip to Casablanca. At this point, he simply commandeered a commercial Boeing Clipper, the same aircraft that any civilian would use in the 40s. But by 1945, the government understood the importance of having a state-of-the-art aircraft to guarantee the executive safety. A C-54 Skymaster was then converted for presidential use. This aircraft, dubbed the Sacred Cow, carried President Franklin D. Roosevelt to the Yalta Conference in February 1945 and was subsequently used for another 2 years by President Harry S. Truman. The plane had a range of 4,000 miles, housed 4 engines, and could land at virtually any airfield in the world. It featured a conference room, a stateroom with a lavatory, a bulletproof picture window, and an elevator entry, so FDR could access the plane by wheelchair. Since then, Air Force One has only grown more lavish and more imposing. Dozens of aircraft have been used over the years, culminating in today's ultra-secure Boeing 747-200B series aircraft. Today, we are counting down 10 mind-blowing facts about Air Force One. It shouldn't come as a surprise that this highly technical aircraft is expensive to operate. The United States spares no expense when it comes to the president, and they refuse to cut corners when it comes to their safety. Under President Obama, Air Force One cost a lofty $56,000 an hour to operate. The plane had a few faults though, including famously spotty Wi-Fi. Allegedly, Obama learned about major policy decisions hours after the average American on a few instances because he couldn't connect his trusty BlackBerry to the wireless internet. After a few overhauls, President Trump's cost of operation has risen immensely. The plane now costs closer to $200,000 an hour to operate. To put that in perspective, Trump's diplomatic travels cost taxpayers $10 million in his first month in office alone. After general skepticism from the public, the Air Force reported that the operating cost for each VC-25A in 2018 was $210,877 per hour. Presidential travel is a highly complex logistical operation involving hundreds of people, dozens of vehicles, and a fleet of aircraft. As a result, it's easy to see how the bill can skyrocket very quickly. And that isn't even calculating the cost of the planes themselves. Each VC-25A cost approximately $325 million. Though this is a tiny fraction of the overall budget, it's a serious chunk of change to most people. As previously mentioned, the first plane specifically commissioned to transport the president safely was a VC-54C, nicknamed the Sacred Cow. Because of the heavy security that surrounded it, newspaper reporters began to refer to the new plane as the Sacred Cow, and despite repeated complaints from the White House staff that it was undignified, the moniker stuck. By February 1945, it was apparent that Nazi Germany would soon be defeated and the European War would be over. So it was decided that another conference was needed to plan out the Allied occupation of Germany and to focus the war effort on Japan. This conference was to be held in Yalta, a resort town in the Crimea. At Yalta, Stalin agreed that he would enter the war against Japan 6 months after Germany surrendered. The Sacred Cow carried FDR to the Soviet city and back. It would be the only time he ever flew aboard the plane. 2 months after Yalta, Roosevelt suddenly died from a stroke. The presidency fell to Vice President Harry Truman. President Truman used the Sacred Cow extensively. When he signed the National Security Act of 1947, which established the CIA and NSA as well as separating the U.S. Air Force from the Army, Truman was traveling aboard the Sacred Cow. Later, Truman received his own specially built presidential airplane, the Independence. The Sacred Cow continued to be used as a VIP transport by the White House until it was retired in 1961. There's a long-standing precedent of spending lavishly on Air Force One, but President Trump just raised the bar to a brand new level. Though it's been plagued with scandals over the past few years, American manufacturer Boeing won a $3.9 billion contract to construct the next Air Force One fleet. In an interview with CBS, Trump confirmed the new planes will be painted red, white, and blue, which I think is appropriate. If selected, the new livery would match the color scheme of those used for the official jets of France, China, and Russia. Former President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy selected the current color scheme in the 1960s. Boeing gave us a good deal, Trump told CBS, adding that he saved $1.5 billion on the project. Trump has emphasized the need to minimize the cost of replacing the 2 existing Air Force One aircraft, the White House said in a statement Wednesday. The statement said the contract saved taxpayers about $1.4 billion over the initial contract. Obviously, they've not made any of the plane's features public in an effort to maintain secrecy, but one can only imagine what kind of features you can buy with $4 billion. It wouldn't be very presidential to stop and refuel en route to a major diplomatic meeting, so Air Force One is equipped with highly advanced mechanics that allow the plane to be refueled while it's still flying. The staff is highly trained in this process, and when needed, a fuel plane docks beside Air Force One and replenishes the tank. The planes have a range of more than 8,000 miles, meaning that it doesn't need to use this feature often, but when it's running on empty, it's hugely beneficial. This equates to unlimited travel range. In the event of a nuclear incident, the plane can remain aloft indefinitely in order to preserve any diplomats on board. This system has never been tested under hostile situations, but the Air Force is confident that it would fare well. Oddly, the new models are being constructed without this feature. This has puzzled most experts, but the White House has not divulged any details regarding their phasing out in-flight refueling. Until they do, the public can only speculate. Many in Congress espouse skepticism for the decision. Strangely to me, the Air Force has just announced that the next version of Air Force One will not have in-flight refueling capability, said Republican Senator Tom Cotton. I think we might need to revisit that decision here on Capitol Hill. The U.S. doesn't take any chances when it comes to military might. In order to guarantee the safety of the president, Air Force One is often flanked by a pair of supercharged battle planes, nicknamed the Doomsday Plane. Born and bred for battle, the modified Boeing 747s are nearly 6 stories tall, equipped with 4 colossal engines and designed to survive a nuclear attack. It's like a backup Pentagon, a U.S. Air Force crew member told CNBC aboard one of the aircraft, which was transporting Defense Secretary James Mattis. There's always one plane on alert and ready to go 24 hours, 7 days a week. The E-4B Advanced Airborne Command Post, or Doomsday Plane, is a highly survivable flying fortress. And much like Air Force One, its sister aircraft with the same recognizable paint job, most of the E-4B's capabilities are classified. Designed during the Cold War, each E-4B, or Night Watch, is built to endure the immediate aftermath of a nuclear detonation. During peacetime, the plane is used to transport the Secretary of Defense and his staff. Currently, there are 4 of these unique aircraft in the Air Force's fleet. The identical planes, which are based at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, have been in operation since 1980. But while the Doomsday Plane is equipped with numerous safety features, Air Force One has its own share of military precision. The plane is completely off limits to just about everybody. Even visiting politicians aren't allowed in some parts of the plane, and the Air Force is careful to conceal specific details of the craft's layout, including its advanced avionics and defenses. The onboard electronics are hardwired to protect against an electromagnetic pulse, and Air Force One is equipped with advanced secure communications equipment, allowing the aircraft to function as a mobile command center in the event of an attack on the United States. The plane even has the ability to withstand an indirect nuclear blast. It's insulated from radiation and has a full hazmat team ready to jump into action. The body of the plane itself can withstand a nuclear blast from the ground. There are weapons hidden all over the plane, in addition to countermeasure defense systems to jam radar and flares embedded in the wings to confuse enemy missiles. A plane would normally be vulnerable to attack while in flight, but challenging Air Force One would be an exercise in futility. While the plane's security may be self-evident, many people neglect to mention its luxury. The flying Oval Office has 4,000 square feet of interior space for the president and his staff. The crew prepares meals in 2 fully equipped galleys. They store a large amount of food in freezers in the lower sections of the plane. The crew is equipped to feed about 100 people at a time, and the storage area holds as many as 2,000 meals. It can carry about 203,000 liters of fuel and weighs 377,000 kilograms when it's fully loaded for a long-range flight, and is capable of flying halfway around the world. Air Force One has a conference room, dining room, Oval Office, a bedroom, and bathroom for the president, as well as offices for senior staff members. The most remarkable feature on the plane is its extensive electronics. It has 85 onboard telephones, a collection of two-way radios, fax machines, and computer connections. It also has 19 televisions and assorted office equipment. The phone system is set up for normal air-to-ground connections and secure lines. The president and his staff can reach just about anybody in the world while cruising tens of thousands of feet in the air. Though the president is rarely relaxing in Air Force One, its amenities leave the possibility open at all times. Even though the plane is a virtual flying fortress, the government must prepare for the possibility of a disaster. In case the plane is struck or the president has a medical condition, they've installed a fully functional hospital on board. In addition to a full medical staff, there's an operating room and all other high-quality medical tools and a pharmacy. More so, there's an extra reserve of blood in the refrigerator that matches the president's blood type. Air Force One contains a full surgical suite with an operating table, 2 beds, resuscitation equipment, various medical monitors, and a full pharmacy. Air Force Two contains a first aid unit as as well as an automated external defibrillator, oxygen tanks, and limited pharmaceuticals. Staff may also carry operating room equipment and backpacks to provide emergency medical care as needed on site when the temporary operating room is too distant. A physician and nurse also usually accompany the First Lady when she travels, but a full medical staff and mobile operating suite are not assigned to her. This is just one in a long list of precautions to guarantee their family's health. This is far from Bill Clinton's most devastating scandal, but the public was outraged when he held up flights at LAX in order to get a haircut. Two of Los Angeles International Airport's 4 runways were shut down for nearly an hour. Some incoming flights were delayed, and Air Force One sat on the tarmac with engines running. Also, that President Clinton's Beverly Hills hairstylist Christophe could come aboard and give Mr. Clinton a high-priced trim before he took off for Washington. Everybody has to get their hair cut, an aide to Mr. Clinton said. I think the president normally gets his hair cut sometime during the week. It happens at different places. As you know, he has a very busy schedule, and he just tries to work it in when he can. That was when we were able to work it in. Referred to as Hairgate, this event came to be a stain on Clinton's political career, until other events far overshadowed it. However, in recent years, Federal Aviation Administration records documented that the haircut caused no significant delays of regularly scheduled passenger flights, no circling planes, no traffic jams on the runways. True or not, it has become a piece of Air Force One lore. In 1990, George Bush Sr. concluded a press conference by declaring that he wouldn't stand for broccoli in the White House or Air Force One any longer. In the bizarre tirade, he stated, "I do not like broccoli, and I haven't liked it since I was a little kid and my mother made me eat it. And I'm President of the United States, and I'm not going to eat any more broccoli." But Bush revealed that his house is divided. He mentioned that his wife Barbara was a huge broccoli lover. He said that she should buy her own broccoli if she wanted it before walking off stage. True to his word, no broccoli was available on Air Force One until George H.W. Bush left office in 1993. According to those close to him, his diet is similar to a teenager's, filled with cholesterol-laden goodies. Junk food is his lifestyle, said a former aide Pete Teeley. The sort of food the president loves can be procured at baseball games, fast food joints, or 7-Elevens. Beef jerky, nachos, tacos, guacamole, chili, refried beans, hamburgers, hot dogs, barbecued ribs, candy, popcorn, ice cream, and cake. Until the mid-90s, that's the kind of fare you could expect aboard the executive aircraft.